Okay, hi everyone. So, welcome back. And today we are having module number 4 of the Global Professional Fellowship on Green Urban Innovation and Social Entrepreneurship. And today the module entitled Nature Based Solutions and Biomimicry Plants and Soil Functional Components of a Modern City, Study Cooling Effects and Biomimicry in Architecture. And as usual, this module is being organized jointly by the Global Ambassadors of Sustainability, the Global Green Chamber of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So I'm inviting Ms. Michelle Thatcher for an opening remarks. The floor is yours, Michelle.
Thank you, Dr. Wissam, and welcome everyone. Welcome to our esteemed speakers and to our audience. Please let us know where you're joining us from today. I know we'll cover that in just a moment, but just as you're coming in, please give us your city and country. And as you can see, we have a really great lineup of speakers from all over the world. And this is about our nature-based solutions for urban health. Just a couple of key takeaways. There's going to be many more, but we're going to learn about how cities can function like ecosystems, biophilic design improves human health, nature cools urban environment, and innovation supports sustainability. And none of this would be important if we weren't starting to take action. So you're going to learn some very key actions to take. These are just a couple of the key ones that you'll have to integrate into your business or city or government, etc. And as usual, we've been doing for the past year and a half, we're going to take one breath of silence to extend, to give peace and love and kindness out there in the world with these turbulent times. Thank you so very much. And we're going to give that strength and peace to extend to our speakers today to help them guide us with this program. And just very briefly, we want to encourage your participation for all of those who are joining us on LinkedIn. Give us your reactions, your insights. As I mentioned, please share your location, city and country if you can. Ask questions for each and every speaker. And with that, please provide each of the speakers' names because it makes it easier if we don't get to them live that they can answer those questions later. And as always, keep in mind that this is a place for open, inclusive, and uplifting dialogue. So we'll just try to keep it focused on the topic at hand. Try not to be political within any of those comments. Thank you so much. And I'm going to pass it back to you, Dr. Wissam. And just a huge thank you. Dr. Wissam is the one that helps to bring in all of these amazing speakers. And this is his brilliant concept overall with the Global Ambassadors of Sustainability. So to you, Dr. Wissam.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michelle, for this nice introduction. And we'll start with our first guest speaker, Dr. Dina Mustafa. And Dr. Dina, she is an assistant professor of interior design at Ifat College of Architecture and Design in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So the floor is yours, Dr. Dina, and you have 15 minutes, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wissam. I just firstly would like to thank you, Dr. Wissam Al-Madoun, the Global Sustainability and Impact Leader, as well as Ms. Michelle Thatcher, the Green Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Global Ambassadors of Sustainability and the GGCC for their invite today. Thank you also, Ms. Hajar, for everything. My presentation today is about the nature-based solution, the NBS, and biomimicry. How is plants and soil plays a functional components of modern interiors environment? First of all, why this matters, why it's very important. Firstly, rapid urbanization is increasing indoor heat levels, as well as the high dependency on mechanical cooling system, the AC, significant energy consumption in interior environment, and the need for sustainable passive environmental strategies. What are the nature-based solution? Maybe for the first time you are hearing what is NBS. NBS are the strategies that use natural systems to solve environmental challenge. And why do we need the natural system into our life? Firstly, because they enhance the thermal comfort, the air quality, as the human well-being. And what is also biomimicry? Biomimicry, it might be like a weird terminology that nobody's using except maybe for architectures and interiors. So biomimicry is learning from nature's strategies and systems, and it's a component of, like we can say, it's a consistence of three levels: form and the process and the system. Like form as a shape and structures of plants and trees. Process is how it works, for example, like how the plant absorbs water from the soil and brings out the carbon dioxide. And systems, for example, the ecosystem relationship, and how we can apply all these into our interior spaces. Our main problem is the urban heat and interiors. So, urban heat islands affect the increase of ambient temperatures into our interior spaces. So, it leads to overheated spaces, energy intensive, and the heavily reliance on the HVAC systems. And this leads to the increasing of carbon footprint as well as the reducing the sustainability performance into our interior spaces. So if we adapted like the cooling cycle similar to what the plant do inside its system, firstly, the nature cooling mechanisms that is happening into the plant. Firstly, plants absorbs water through roots. It releases moisture through leaves, which is called the evapotranspiration, and this is the process that cools the surrounding air. It has a very good impact into interior spaces as it leads to temperature reduction from 2 to 5 degrees centigrade indoors, as well as it's improved the humidity balance, which is very good that we can apply it in interior spaces through the vertical green walls, biophilic partitions, and indoor gardens. In addition, that we have another example if we took the soil as a thermal regulator. When where soil acts as a thermal mass, it absorbs the heat during the day and releases the heat slowly at night. So it means that it can regulate the temperature as well as the humidity. And we can apply it in interior applications through the rammed earth walls, clay plasters, or the indoor planting beds. As we can see here, for examples from nature, again, but besides the plants and besides the soil, biomimicry translation diagram, this is how we shows things from nature and the strategy that we are going to follow and how we can apply it into our interior application. First example, we have the termite mounds, which has a very passive ventilation because it takes in the hot air, sending it up, and it makes a good airflow inside as a system. Then we have another example as the cactus, where it is a good water retention and shading, and it can be as used as an adaptive shading element into interior spaces. Thirdly, we have the forest ecosystems, taking into consideration good opportunities that you can follow from layering, and it gives the zoning and spatial hierarchy. Plant also plays as a functional in interior systems. How? Because it improves the indoor air quality as well as reduces the heat gain and create the microclimates. So the design strategies that we can follow to present any of these examples, like for example, applying the green ceiling, the indoor courtyards, and the living partitions. Soil and natural materials also can be applied into interiors as it has a high thermal inertia as well as a breathable surfaces as well. This can benefit interior spaces as it stabilizes interior temperature, enhances the acoustic comfort, and improves the indoor air quality. We have one of our examples over here in front of us, and it's the example of the case study of Bosco Vertical. It is depend on its design on a vertical forest integrated into residential towers. It has a very high performance in reducing the urban heat, as well as it filters air pollutants and enhances the biodiversity. It had a very excellent impact into interior spaces as it allowed natural shading, thermal buffering, as well as visual connection to nature. Our second example, which is the Edge building in Amsterdam, and it's considered to be one of the smartest sustainable office building around the world. It provided three very important strategies in the building by the energy efficient systems, the natural lighting optimization, and the integration of greenery. It had a very excellent impact into the interior spaces by the adaptive environments and the reducing of the energy consumption. One of the very good examples that currently we have as I'm residing in Saudi Arabia in Jeddah. Saudi context is designed, like we can say that it has the character of extreme hot climate, high cooling demands, the increasing of the focus on sustainability. So we have a very good opportunity to integrate the NBS into our interiors, which can reduce the energy use, improve the thermal comfort, and support the sustainable development. All whatever we have mentioned is being applied as an example for that on the future model Neom City. Neom City is a futuristic city that's focused on sustainability, innovation, environmental integration. According to that, Neom City is also aligned with the vision of 2030, which promotes sustainable cities, energy efficiency, environmental responsibility, which has a very good role on interior design spaces as it reduces the energy consumption and enhance the quality of life. Um, According to what we have mentioned previously, interior design application, we have too many solutions for that by using the biophilic zoning instead of rigid partitions, the indoor microclimate creations, the integration of natural materials, responsive and adaptive spaces. And it's very challenging as it needs from us maintenance requirements, water management system, initial cost perception, and one remains of the one of the hugest thing is the lack of awareness. So our vision is to for interiors as we need to present them as a living ecosystems to integrate nature, technology, and AI systems as well. So the conclusion is nature is not an inspiration only, but it plays a very functional design partner as well. So the future of interior design lies in integrating natural intelligence into built environment. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dina, for this interesting presentation. And now we move to the next speaker. And the next speaker is Dr. Fauzia Abu Bakr. And Dr. Fauzia, she's a senior lecturer at the University Putra, Malaysia, from Malaysia. So the floor is yours, Dr. Fauzia, and you have 15 minutes, please.
Thank you, Dr. Wesam. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Good afternoon, everyone, and hi from Malaysia. It is truly an honor to be here today, where we can discuss the topic that is becoming increasingly important for the future of our cities, which is the using of nature-based solutions and biomimicry. So, as everyone knows that urban areas continue to expand, many cities are facing common challenges such as rising temperatures, flooding, declining biodiversity, and very poor air quality. So traditionally, these problems have been addressed through purely engineering, I would say. However, we are now beginning to realize that nature itself offers highly efficient solutions. So in today's talk, I'll be sharing how plants and soil can function as active components of modern urban system. How do we study the natural processes, and how can we design the cities that behave more like living systems? Let me start with simple observation. My research focuses on biodiversity, on medicinal plants, on how natural ecosystem can help us address climate and sustainability challenges. So during my field work, I often work with local communities into the rainforest to document medicinal plants. One thing always come into my mind: even under strong tropical sunlight, the forest feels cooler and more stable. And when you step into an open clearing under the same sun, the heat become intense, especially now, very hot climate season. So why is this happening? This is because the forests, they are not just collection of trees. They function as natural climate control system. The layered vegetation that creates shades. The plants release moisture through process called evapotranspiration, and together all this system, they can create a stable microclimate. So in other words, the forest now is operating like a natural acorn. So before we talk about the cities, it is always important to remember that something remarkable about tropical forests. Rainforests are among the most efficient climate regulation system on Earth. They control the temperature through dense canopy that blocks solar UV radiation, and they cool the surrounding atmosphere through evapotranspiration. They can maintain continuous water cycling, and below the ground, living soil stores water, nutrients, and carbon while supporting microbial network that maintain the whole ecosystem. So all of these processes, we can see that how they interact to create a stable microclimate, even in tropical region with intense sunlight. So in other words, I would say I will highlight here again, the forests are not just collection of trees. They are highly sophisticated environmental system that control energy, water, and carbon. And when we look at them from this perspective, always there is an important idea that comes. Perhaps the future of resilient cities lies not in inventing entirely new technologies, but we are learning from the system that nature has already perfected. Next one. All right, we saw that how a rainforest naturally regulates the climate, but when we design modern cities, we often remove this living system and replace them with concrete, with steels. So these materials, they behave very differently from plants and soil. They absorb huge amount of solar during daytime and then slowly release the heat into the surrounding environment. And that is why many cities remain hot even after sunset. And this phenomena is known as the urban heat island effect, where the temperature in cities can be 3 to 7 degrees Celsius higher than nearby rural or forested landscape. And this is not just a temperature issue. Urban heat increases energy demand for cooling, for aircon, for stress for people, and can worsen the impacts of climate change. So the question that we must ask is this: if forests can naturally regulate temperature and maintain stable microclimate, why don't our cities do the same? And this is exactly where we are using nature-based solutions and biomimicry. And this is how we design the cities of the future. All right, that we saw that cities now often get overheated because we remove the very system that naturally regulate the temperature. So the next step is not complicated in theory, although it can be challenging in practice. We need to bring those functions back. This is where we apply nature-based solutions. It is a natural system to address urban challenge, not only environmental but also social and economic issue. For example, when we plant more urban trees, we are not simply making a city looks beautiful or greener. We are creating shades. We are helping. We are lowering the surface temperature, improving the air quality, and also to support biodiversity. And when we introduce the green roof, gardens, landscape, we are not adding the decoration. We are rebuilding the city's capacity to absorb more water, reduce the runoff, and of course to control the temperature. So we use this nature itself as part of the solution. So how? There are various possible ways. For example, we can plant trees and green roof that helps to cool cities. It can also help the nature manage water. For example, when the rainfall in a city, water flow quickly over concrete and causes flooding. But when we have green spaces, we have wetland, we have bioswales, the soil and plant themselves can absorb water like a sponge. And third, plant improve air quality. The trees can capture dust particles, absorb carbon dioxide, and also release oxygen. So green infrastructure actually act as a natural air filter for the city. So it is important to say all this can communicate and interact together as a whole system. Now let's look at briefly how plants actually cool cities. It is like a natural aircon. First mechanism is a shade. The tree canopies block large portion of incoming solar radiation. Without that shade, surface like concrete can heat up extremely quickly. And the second mechanism here is evapotranspiration. It is a process in plant that release water vapor from the leaf, and when this happens, it absorbs heat from the surrounding air, creating a natural cooling effect. And the third mechanism here happen below the ground. Healthy living soil store water and moisture, which help to control the temperature and reduce heat buildup at the surface. So when these three processes work together, shared evapotranspiration, living soil system, the cooling effect can be significant. And in many urban studies, vegetation has been shown to reduce surrounding temperature by 2 to 5 degrees Celsius. And that is a powerful reminder that plants are not passive elements in the city. They are actually our active climate regulator. Now, the current slide bring us back to the rainforest. Tropical rainforests, such as those in Borneo, are among the most complex ecosystem on Earth. But one of their most remarkable feature is the ability to maintain stable microclimate. And the stability comes from very interesting system, the layered vegetation structure, where it helps to control sunlight, the temperature. Second, they have a continuous cycling of water, plant release moisture into the air through the evapotranspiration. The living soil system, the rainforest soils are full of microorganisms, roots, organic matter that help to retain the moisture. Now, the interesting question for the cities is, what if we design our urban environment using a similar principle? Instead of single layer of concrete surfaces, cities could develop layered green infrastructure. So green roof could function like a canopy layers, the street trees, vertical gardens. So this is the essence of biomimicry, where we learn the nature's design strategy to solve human challenge. Right. By this point, the idea of learning from nature might sound ambitious, but the important thing to remember here is that transformation has already started. Around the world, cities are beginning to integrate nature back into the infrastructure. For example, one well-known example is Singapore, which has positioned itself as a city in nature. Urban forests, vertical greenery, green roof, they are all integrated into buildings and public spaces across the city. Another example come from Milan with the vertical forest. The residential tower hosts hundreds of trees and thousands of plants directly on their balconies. In cities like Copenhagen, urban streets are now being redesigned with green infrastructure such as rain garden, permeable landscape. So few cities are already experimenting with this idea and demonstrating that urban environment can be both modern and ecological. Now, how do we actually design the cities that work with nature? Actually, there are can be summarized into 4 practical principles. First is the cooling the city naturally. In many cities, well-designed green infrastructure can reduce surrounding temperature by several degrees. The second principle focuses on water management. Instead of letting the rainwater directly run into drainage system and cause flooding, the city can use the living soils, the wetland, to absorb and filter the water naturally. So this approach mimic how natural ecosystem regulate water. Third principle is connectivity. Urban biodiversity cannot survive in isolated patches. So how do we create the green corridors, parks, ecological pathway? The cities can connect habitats while also providing spaces for people to walk, cycle, interact with nature. And last but not least, instead of simply reducing environmental damage, cities can be designed to restore ecosystem, improve the soil health, enhance biodiversity, and even capture carbon. So after looking at this principle, we can begin to imagine what the next generation of city might look like. A nature positive city is not simply a city with more parks. It is a city where nature becomes part of the infrastructure itself. Urban forests provide shades, can control the temperature with the green roof, vertical gardens, with permeable landscape that allow water to move naturally. We have the green corridors and importantly, healthy living soils. So such cities are not only cooler and more resilient to climate change. In many ways, the future of urban design may not be about inventing something completely new. It is about learning again from the system that nature has already perfected. So if for a long time, we design cities like machine, which are made of concrete, steels, and infrastructure. But the cities of the future must behave differently, and they must function more like living ecosystem. Cities that cool themselves with trees, absorb water through soils, connect people with nature, and regenerate the environment around them. So if forests can regulate climate, store carbon, and sustain life, perhaps they can also teach us how to design better cities. So yeah, this is just a simple closing reflection from myself. So with that, I end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fauzia, for this enlightening presentation and nice ideas. So now we move to the next speaker, and our next speaker is Dr. Rania Migrohi. And Dr. Rania, she is from Tunisia. Dr. Rania is, I'm sorry. Okay, so Dr. Rania is an assistant professor and researchers in
Yes.
IRDF at Carthage University. So, Dr. Rania, the floor is yours, and you have 15 minutes, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Wissam. Good morning, everyone. I'm a great pleasure to welcome you all to the online webinar in nature-based solution for urban health. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Wissam for this kind invitation and to Mrs. Michelle Teachers for organizing this webinar. Allow me to briefly introduce myself. I'm Dr. Rania, research in specializing in biodiversity conservation. My research work focuses on the assessment, preservation, and sustainable management of biodiversity, with in particular emphasis in ecosystem dynamic ecological resilience. Today, I will be discussing the role of nature-based solution in transforming urban agriculture in the Mediterranean region. This region faces significantly challenge and included water scarcity, climate variability, rapid urbanization, and land degradation. In the context, your urban agriculture represent represent a promotion pathway to enhance food security, promote environment sustainability, and strengthen community resilience. By integrate natural-based solutions such as green infrastructure and water efficiency practices, we can rethink how cities produce food while preserving natural resources. However, several challenges remain, including limited space, policy constraints, and socioeconomic barriers. In this present, I will highlight both the key challenge and the opportunities for scaling up the solution in Mediterranean cities, with in particular focus in Tunisia. Urban and agriculture intensification have an important impact in biodiversity around in the Mediterranean basin. One response has been the take up of the concept of nature-based solution, notably promoted by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. As well, now climate change is the one of the most significant challenge we face today. The main causes are green gas emission, deforestation, and intensive agriculture, leading to several consequences for our ecosystem. This included extreme weather events, land degradation, and loss of biodiversity. They have threatening for the livelihood of millions, especially in rural community. According to the European Commission, national-based solution as solution that inspired and supporting by nature, which are cost-effective, simultaneously provide environment, socio and economic benefits, and help build resilience. Nature-based solution aim to restore, protect, and manage ecosystem to help mitigate and adapt to issues such as climate change, water management, disaster risk reduction, and urban challenge. The challenge for NBCAs in Mediterranean region, in Mediterranean urban agriculture, the first, water sacrifice and climate extreme, high density urban environments, governance and financial constraint, knowledge gaps, and finally socio-cultural culture hurdles. In the Tunisia case, a reforestation campaign has been implemented in the site of the residence Tunis Hotel, delegate the Marsa in the north of Tunisia, governorate of Tunis, capital of Tunisia, with the framework of an agreement concluded between Director General of Forest and the Regional Commission for Agricultural Development of Tunis. We used the Miyawaki methods. Miyawaki methods. Akira Miyawaki is a Japanese science and botanist now for the forest restoration methods called the Miyawaki methods. This is a site of hotel residence in Tunis with multi-partner science and development partner Marcus and Holded Stockers. This is the description of methods of Miyawaki methods. The step of the Miyawaki methods to study soil, soil preparation, selected of species, native species, and tree and shrubs and herbaceous plants in the local species, and dance planting in the for 5 young plants per meter, and limited maintenance watering for 2 to 3 years. This figure show the land preparation, the soil. We discussion with responsible of hotel and several partner, manager, forest manager, and the marker and science in Tunis. This is this plot in the hotel in the urban Tunis. This is a local and endemic species in Tunisia, Cyclamen persicum, for example. The native species in Tunisia and endemic species in the north of Tunisia. The advantage of the Miyawaki methods: rapid plant growth, high density and scenic biodiversity, microclimate and soil improvement, and slow down erosion and promote infiltration. These methods applicate to the center of Tunisia, to opportunity to involve local and planting and preservation communities. The Miyawaki methods is a sustainable solution for restoring natural forest in Tunisia, particularly in the central regions, by using native species and respecting the ecological balance. It creates functional forests that are beneficial to the environment and future generations. This success conservation to offer the nature values, ecosystem service, and culture values. Concerning future opportunities for NBS in the region, water management and circularity and technology integration, greening infrastructure, circular bioeconomy, community engagement and capacity building. In conclusion, the transformation of Mediterranean urban agriculture through a nature-based solution requires shifting from conventional methods towards integrated ecological approach. Overcoming challenges require polycentric governance, investment in technology, and tailor local driven action to ensure both environment resilience and social equity. Interdisciplinary and participative practice are recommended to fill knowledge gap and overcome the difficulties which practitioners experience in training to achieve the intended outcome of NBS projects. Systematic and political change affecting every level and partner to applied by the variety of recommendation making and enable environment enrollment for NBS and ambition endeavors. Thank you for your attention. We have the figure show the team to reflection to the methods and restoration and innovation opportunity for urban agriculture. Thank you so much for your attention.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Rania,
Thank you.
for this interesting presentation. And now we
Sure.
move to the next speaker, Dr. Amira Hamdi. And Dr. Amira, she is an assistant professor of interior architecture at Fars University in Alexandria from Egypt. So the floor is yours, Dr. Amira, and you have 15 minutes, please.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm truly delighted to be among you today for the fourth module of the Global Professional Fellowship, this great initiative. My contribution will be living furniture systems and how nature-based solutions and biomimicry are shaping the public settings. I'm Dr. Amira Hamdi, an associate professor of interior architecture at Fars University. And our mission and vision in this contribution is to actually bridge the gap between the heavy infrastructure and the user-centric furniture pieces that, in a brilliant move to turn from the net zero abstract goals to something that people can actually sit and experience every day. So this will be reviewed in several points through this contribution. First, we define the strategic pivot and finding the challenges that are facing us, and actually exploring the missing scale here through nature-based solutions at micro scale, and finalize with the research insights, my recent research insights through learning from biological patterns through 4 case studies that I've been experiencing, and ending with conclusion on the strategic alignment for the fellowship goals and global agendas. But before we go further, let me start by shifting your perspective here in this contribution. As for the nature-based solutions and biomimicry are not separate design approaches here. We are treating them as two operational systems that work together to produce and propose more lively, tangible experiences that people can face through the objects we face every day in life, and within the human scale. So the strategic pivot here is to answer the question now. Let me ask you, when were the last time that you sat on a public seating and actually find it comfortable, not only physical comfortable, but environmentally comfortable? I believe I took a survey about this, and I found the answer was, with the best scale, of course, was most likely. Not even often, and it should be often. It should be where we have to be often, get enclosed to this transition for the public seating. So that's why the strategic pivot here starts with the scale of everyday use: the public seatings, the waiting areas, the furniture, the urban furniture, the way that people gather actually in public urban spaces, which remains actually passive, static, and environmentally disconnected. As I believe Dr. Fawzia also mentioned about the the urban heat island, the UHI phenomena, which is facing actually most of the hot climate areas. These concrete benches absorb massive thermal heat within the day, and at night, at the evening, they are very hot, and so you cannot bear it, which raising the temperature of the place. Actually, also the metal benches, you cannot see high technical, very, very high technology cities, and within this urban of these cities, you find metal benches which are totally zero ecological function. So we're trying here to face the major challenges that are facing us, and we have to face the current failure of these furniture and creating the furniture for the public seating as ecologically dead zones. So why don't we think better and move from and shift our design thinking and move from this static point of view to more lively and living furniture approach, the nature-based solution, moving from UHI effect to nature-based solutions. So actually the missing scale is discovered here. We have to design from the human scale, from the little scale to the larger scale, from the indoor scale to the outdoor scale. So if the furniture is no longer here an object, so how can you believe that furniture can be actually a part for the climate infrastructure by nature-based solution at the micro scale? These nature-based solutions are actually having this philosophy of urban acupuncture. Urban acupuncture is about three objectives. If they are in a place for the public seatings, then you have achieved the urban acupuncture. The first object that instead of adding furniture to the place or to the space, you have to integrate these functional organs, which are furniture, through the urban fabric, and has function and has ability to change the citizen way of moving or way of behaving. This moves us to the second objective, that every public gathering point, like parks outside the educational buildings, transit stops, and maybe uh, every gathering points for hospitalities, for waiting areas, should have small-scale intervention of landscaping of these vital living furniture that makes the nature-based solution visible and improve the citizen experience. That is achieving the objective three. And this matches perfectly actually with the biophilic design elements that was introduced earlier by Kellert in 2008 back. The final two for evolved human nature relationships and place-based relationships, where we have to maintain the modular systems in furniture designing within the public spaces, and include actually and integrate living plants and soil substrates, and also water cycles. This transformed the furniture from static and objective matter and passive matter to microclimatic generative organ in the public space, and also social catalyst within the space. So the question here is that the design is not only for coming from the environment or within the environmental pattern. We also have to design for the human experience. We always ask a question here now: how does it feel for the user if we turn or switch or make this switch? What comes back to the user for this switch? So the result says that if we have achieved through this nature-based solutions and living furniture systems, the thermal comfort within the shade, airflow, and cooling surfaces, and also enhancing the social engagement through using special materials, green materials, texture, and smell and sound, you, by the way, are actually enhancing the social interaction, the inclusivity for this place, and actually the biophilic psychological benefits that are moving not only from comfort, when you feel comfort, but to actually well-being and behavior change for the citizen who is inhabiting this place. So trying to taking you now to my research insights about this point, where the nature-based solution actually meet the biomimicry in this, and they can work together now to produce the biological and environmental intelligence, and making this translating this to design solutions on the basis. So I'm taking you now to 4 case studies. I'm calling them learning from nature, learning from biological patterns. We'll start by the simple analogies to make you imagine just one case study from this. I believe you know that leaf means from inspiration, it means shading and living furniture. Tree canopy means like fertile light and water flow. These are for designers. Roots means the strategic logic if we are designing for something, and now we are translating it to concept. So if we're taking it as metaphors, we are moving it now to design strategy, to design outcome. So now furniture became part of the architecture, and the architecture became a smaller part. It became now a micro architecture where people directly inhabit this architecture through the human experience. We can actually support it by materials, by ergonomic basis, by design, the design ambience all around it, and we can actually find the place or a seating where people can actually be connected to. Moving to the second case study would be about learning materials, actually, and dealing with materials which are receptive concrete and mycelium composite, I introduced to you a design which is about exploring a nature-based design, a nature-based material, mycelium composite, which I can actually taken from the locally agricultured, maybe pineapple. Coconut husks and hemps. Actually, these natural materials can help to sequester for carbon dioxide, actually, and it makes the seating more stable and with zero with zero bad benefit for the environment, and excellent for acoustic and thermal insulation for this. And also it acts as a carbon banks for this design, where people can actually inherit and find that it's more attached to this design. You can actually find it more related to the third one, which is the case study number 3 about hydroceramics and evaporating. Now we're talking about cooling and how to learn from nature through cooling. So I will take termite mounds and cactus. You find it. You find this lesson from nature, that cactus and termite mounds has the surface which are highly geometrical, unstable surface. So it acts like can lower down the seating. They can stay cool. They can stay cool within the very tense sun in the desert. So by mimicking this actually high surface area geometrics within the 3D porous clay, we try to design new seatings that can go away from this urban heat island effect, and moving the concrete benches from a heat battery, okay, to the new net zero pathway for maybe for a cooling furniture we can call, or biomimetic hydroceramics furniture. And this furniture can actually stay and prove itself within the intense and very climatic hot weather. And actually, if we can see that in very high temperature, this clay actually sweats. And when it sweats, it evaporates water and make actually natural cooling system that lower down the temperature of the seating, actually from 5 to 10, relating or compared to the main based natural main based concrete seating. So it's actually a very high design approach, and we can see that we can actually combine more than one approach of design. And we can approach the first one from the nature, and the second one we combine the materials, the mycelium, and find the third one, and we can combine all these approaches within maybe introduced to hospitality sectors that are seeking the net zero goals and net zero initiatives. It can be within park gathering nodes, outdoor waiting areas, transporting, hospitality cafe terraces, rooftop restaurants, and transitional outdoor spaces. I even gave them a name, which is Sycamore Bench. Okay, finalizing with the last case study here, which is more sophisticated to me. We took the nature actually from the elephant ears, and it's not recent, but scientists believed that that elephants can survive the very high temperature within deserts through flapping his ears, and there are very tiny skin and very close to each other, creating the heat sink phenomena. This heat sink phenomena creates parametric design, which can allow the air to transfer through it and find it cooling by its terms. So when we mimic this idea and find it with a concept abstraction, we can find actually a seating that is very modern, and we can use it actually in urban integration, and it's bio-inspired and cooling, and actually meets every environmental aspect that we are seeking. We can actually use green materials like bamboo seating as a skeleton and put on it the porous. It's a multi-phase case study. You can use all the previous on it. Actually, you can use the mycelium. You can use this actually in outdoor waiting areas, and more it feels like social interaction within the space, and also cooling canopies that I can see and find. So finalizing and leaving you with this theme that we are now rethinking this small scale of architecture. And now, if buildings are shaping cities and landscaping are shaping environments, then furniture definitely are shaping human experience. That's why designing for the climate becomes personal to us as designers. So we are now gathering all what we said and saying that cooling happens at the body level, not just the city level. So sustainable, that proves the thought that says that the sustainability is not proven until it's tested, until people experience it. We have to experience sustainability to make sure that the place we are designing is already sustainable. So by this we can actually find the conventional and swift the conventional thinking to nature-based solutions and innovative public settings that are using for the climate resilient urban space, and actually meets all the goals we are seeking, the Build Back Better goals and the net zero goals and the climate resilience and SDGs goals, to enhance the user and the citizen experience within the idea. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm okay to take all the questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amira, for this very interesting presentation and new concepts. And now we move to the next speaker, Mr. Max Udov. And Mr. Max, he is the CEO of Herb Afartel from Croatia. So the floor is yours, Mr. Max, and you have 15 minutes, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to every participants. My name is Max Udov, and I am a sustainable urban forestry expert from Croatia. My work is focused on sustainable urban tree planting, root zone restoration, and building soil-based resilience in cities. I would like to begin with what I see as a hidden global problem behind many urban greening programs. At the same time, I believe the time for theory alone has largely passed. What we need today are practical solutions, holistic solutions that can work in real urban conditions and that can be tested, improved, and applied immediately in practice. When this discussion is becoming even more urgent at a time of economic uncertainty and wider instability, when cities are under pressure in terms of budgets, infrastructure, and public services, failed tree planting becomes even more costly. At the same time, in many regions, water is becoming scarcer, more strategic, and more valuable every year. In that sense, water security is becoming just as important to urban resilience as energy security. Across the world, cities are investing heavily in new tree planting, yet a large share of these trees fail within the first few years. The problem is not that the idea is wrong and not that people do not care. The problem is that the underground system is still too often treated as secondary. This is why urban trees must be treated as long-term infrastructure, not as short-term decoration or symbolic planting. Did you know that 30 to 50% of newly planted urban trees die within the first 3 years? This information often remains overlooked or insufficiently discussed. Could you find comparable data for your own city or region? I don't think so, you can't find it. Let me give you one example. The European Union plans to plant 3 billion trees by 2030. If 30% of them fail, and if the average cost per tree for planting and watering is around 1,500 euros, the financial loss could be approach 1 billion euros. Then cities and institutions must spend even more, another billion to replace the dead trees. If the same pattern continues, the losses rise again. So the question is simple. Is that not already enough reason to change the planting method? We continue to talk about beautiful public spaces, climate adaptation, sponge cities, 15-minute cities, and soil health as if they were separate topics. But when we look at the system as a whole, they all come together around one surprisingly simple biological foundation: the urban tree and the soil that supports it and enables it to function. A tree is not just an aesthetic element of landscape architecture, it is a living infrastructure. Its roots shape the soil, create space for air and water, support microbial life, and connect multiple urban systems below the surface. In healthy, functional soil, water infiltrates instead of running off. Microorganisms break down organic matter and help cycle nutrients. Healthy, well-developed roots also stabilize the soil and anchor the tree firmly, much like a structural foundation, making it far more resistant to strong winds. If a tree cannot root properly, it cannot provide either lasting stability or quality shade. If the soil cannot absorb and retain water, it cannot support healthy biological life. And if the root zone remains compacted and biologically weak, then cooling, water infiltration, tree resilience, and the long-term vitality of the canopy all become limited and uncertain. Here, in that slide, we show a simple comparison: what a healthy and strong reinforced root plate looks like on the left side, and what a thin and weak root plate looks like after a tree has been uprooted. This is especially important in hot and water-stressed regions. In these climates, water is not just a utility issue. It is a structural urban issue. Infiltration matters. Water's retention matters. Root access to water matters. And shade matters also. Shade is not a luxury. In hot cities, it is basic infrastructure. It affects comfort, health, walkability, the quality of public space, and ultimately the ability of a city to remain livable. That is why I believe we need to move beyond fragmented solutions. Many existing approaches are valuable. Sponge city thinking is valuable. Soil improvement strategies are valuable. Structural soil systems are valuable. Biomimicry is valuable. But too often, water, soil, biology, root development, anchorage, and canopy performance are still treated separately, as if they were disconnected. That is the real limitation. The sustainability of urban trees in these challenging times can only be secured through preventive arboriculture. This is one new term. This means taking action early to protect tree health, stability, and vitality before serious damage or decline begins. In practice, this includes choosing the right tree species for the right site, planting correctly and avoiding deep planting, preserving and improving soil quality, preventing soil compaction in the root zone, and ensuring that roots have access to both air and water. It also includes deep and proper irrigation, adding organic matter, improving biological activity in the soil, and regularly monitoring tree vitality and canopy condition. Preventive arboriculture also means recognizing signs of stress and decline early, protecting roots, trunks, and branches during construction and municipal works, carrying out professional and moderate pruning at the right time, and preventing mechanical damage from moving wheels and machinery. It includes monitoring tree stability and root plate development, restoring damaged or degraded urban soils, and planning long-term maintenance instead of relying only on occasional interventions. Simply put, preventive arboriculture means acting in time so that the tree remains healthy, stable, and long-lived, rather than reacting only once it begins to decline or become hazardous. More recently, we have also been developing what we call the Hydroterra system. It is our inventive system. This approach brings together water infiltration, soil regeneration, and root zone restoration as one functional whole. Instead of treating stormwater, soil health, and urban trees as separate issue, we work through integrated green-blue projects that reconnect these elements in real urban conditions. The logic is simple. Water enters the soil remains porous and biologically active, roots grow deeper and stronger, and trees become healthier and more resilient. As a result, cities benefit from better cooling, improved water regulation, and greater long-term ecosystem stability. Many existing approaches are valuable, but they are still too often applied in isolation. Our focus is to connect water, soil, roots, and tree performance into living and functional urban system. The drill to fill method. The method we use is called drill to fill. It delivers water and nutrients deep into the tree's root zone rather than applying them only on the surface as it is commonly done. It is a low disturbance root zone restoration technique that can be used for both newly planted and existing trees. Small holes are made around the root zone without major excavation, and these are filled with a functional substrate designed to improve aeration, biological activity, water availability, and root access. The principle is simple. Instead of treating only the surface, we restore function deeper in the soil profile, where roots actually need oxygen, water, and biological support. This approach helps trees become healthier, more vigorous, and more resistant to disease and wind throw. AquaVault is also a new system. One component we are currently developing within this broad root zone approach is a water buffering element designed for hot and its purpose is to retain part of the available water within the root zone and make it available over time, instead of losing it too quickly through evaporation or ineffective surface wetting. This method helps both newly planted saplings and established trees make better use of smaller amounts of water, supporting healthier and more vigorous growth. Infiltration matters because it is not only about the drainage. It is the starting point of soil biology, root function, and canopy development. And in turn, the canopy gives back to the city through cooling and shade. When this system functions properly, the benefits go far beyond simple tree survival. Better infiltration improves the local water balance, stronger root development improves anchorage and advanced wind stability. Healthier biological activity improves nutrient cycling. Better canopy performance improves the urban microclimate, and healthier urban trees help support wider climate adaptation goals at both neighborhood and the city scale. This is why I believe tree planting must be understood not as a symbolic act, but as infrastructure designed below the ground. Urban utility networks are planned in advance and mapped in technical drawings. In the same way, trees as urban infrastructure must also be given carefully planned. Long-term positions and adequate space. The presence of one must not compromise the other, as is too often the case today. If cities continue to plant trees in degraded and dysfunctional soil, they will continue to invest in short-lived results. But when root zone function is restored, tree can provide lasting shade, cooling, stability, and resilience. In other words, they can become true climate infrastructure. So, the core message I would like to leave with you today is simple. Climate resilience does not begin above ground. It begins below ground. As summers become hotter, rainfall more irregular, winds stronger, and environmental pressure greater, cities can no longer afford to treat soil and roots as a secondary issue. If we want sponge cities, healthier soils, cooler neighborhoods, and more resilient urban climates, we must begin where these systems come together in the soil around the roots of the tree. I invite everyone to meet me at Futurescape Global Riyadh, Saudi Arabia from 8 to 9 June 2026, where I present my sustainable concepts. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Max. Again, more ideas and interesting concepts. So now we move to the last speaker for today, Dr. Muhammad Bilal Tahir. Dr. Bilal, he's the provost of Khawaja Farid University of Engineering and Information Technology in Pakistan. So the floor is yours, Dr. Bilal.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And good evening for everyone. And thank you for the opportunity. It is an honor to me to be here and discuss my point. I'm Dr. Mohammad Bilal Tahir, and today I will be discussing how nanostructure sustainable materials can enable climate resilience, particularly through the community centered and urban innovation approaches. Let me begin with a real story. From the picture, we can see that imagine a rural community where clean water is not available. People rely on the contaminated sources, which directly affect their health and daily lives. Traditional solutions exist, but they are often expensive and we can say that not sustainable for these communities. Now, when low cost commercial non nanomaterial based filtration system is introduced, suddenly a clean water becomes accessible. This is the power of the science when it directly meets the community needs. Overview of this session is as follows: climate resilience challenges, community level climate impacts, need for the innovative material solutions, areas where nanomaterial provide solutions, case study, and the real world application. Next one is the bridging science and society, education and collaboration needs, future perspective, and the last one is conclusion. The main global climate resilience challenges are here. The first one is rising temperatures and heat waves, fresh water secretary, degrading ecosystems, waste accumulation. The next one is the energy demand and carbon emissions, vulnerability in the developing regions. Due to these challenges, the impacts on the community, here are the impacts on the community. The first one is the rural water contamination. As we can see that a large portion of the world population without access to safely managed drinking water lives in the rural areas, and this water contain contaminants commonly found in the rural water include microbials, germs, arsenics, fluorides, nitrites, and the heavy metals. And due to these contaminants, there is also impact on the health, like waterborne diseases remain a major risk contribution to the hundreds of thousands of deaths annually, especially among the children under 5. And we can see that the regional highlights in the region like South Asia, naturally occurring arsenic contaminants in the rural areas. Due to this rural water contamination, there is a social and economic cost. Fetching water from the safer sources takes time and increase the cost. And the second is challenge which already have been discussed in our session, which is the urban heat island effect. I think there is no need to explain further it. The next challenge is here the crop yield reduction. Due to the climate challenges, the main impact is on the crop yield reduction, the which is a global food security, we can say that is at risk. Reduced yields, high temperatures, and extreme weather lower crop yields, soaring prices. Crop yield reduction leads to the higher food prices and the crop damage, floods and heat damage crops, decrease productivity, we can see that yield losses reduce farmer productivity and income, and we can say that there is a food insecurity increases, especially in the vulnerable populations. And the last challenge which we have discussed here is the lack of affordable clean energy. We can see that energy poverty, a large portion of the population lacks access to the electricity, and here are the regions where the we can say that the high energy cost electricity allows environmental, also the environmental impacts like the burning of fossil fuels contribute to the pollution and climate change. But how do these challenges actually affect it, and what is the solution behind this? How we can solve these problems? Here we have discussed about the nanomaterial solution. We have proposed the innovative material solutions. Why material science is centered to resilience? The materials determine durability, efficiency, adaptability for the infrastructures. Advanced materials enable systems that can withstand climate stress, extreme temperatures, and the environmental degradation. The nanostructured material offer high performance, low resource use, and a longer lifetime. The role of nanotechnology, here are some fields where the nanotechnology can play their role. The first one is in energy, like the solar cells and the capacitors, batteries. It can also be utilized in the wastewater technology, also in the environmental restorations. Nanostructured sustainable materials are the materials engineered at the nanoscale 1 to 100 nanometer to enhance physical, chemical, and mechanical properties while promoting environmental sustainability. They are designed to reduce resource consumption, minimize pollution, and improve energy efficiency across various applications such as catalysis, we can say that, energy storage, environmental remediation, and the sensors. Here are the key features due to which we have introduced nanomaterials in, in the community level to solve the community level challenges. And the first one, the reason behind this is the large surface area, high reactivity, tolerable properties like the band gap engineering, enhanced conductivity. We can enhance conductivity, improve mechanical strength, low cost scalable synthesis like the methods sol gel, hydrothermal green synthesis, and the chemical precipitation. Here are some areas where the nanomaterial can provide the solutions. First one is the solar energy harvesting, water purification, and the photocatalytic degradation of the pollutants. Also, the areas where nanomaterial provide solutions are air purifications, energy storage, sustainable agriculture applications like in fertilizers and machines. Here in the case study, in like a clean water accessibility, we have synthesized MS2 based nanomaterials for the photodegradation of the spent wash in the sugar waste industry. From the sugar waste industry, there is a from the sugar industry there is a wastage which we can say that it's a spent wash which is very dangerous for the human health. Highly intensive dock water, high acid pH, contain high ash content, contain phosphorus salt, unplayer odor, high percentage of organ and inorganic matters. It's a very common problem in the cities where there are sugar industries. There are few, we can say that methods which are utilized for the purification of the water. And here are chemical precipitation method, membrane filtration, chlorination, long ion exchange method, electrochemical method, solvent extraction, adsorption, and the distillation. And these methods have disadvantages like they consume more time, expensive, production of harmful byproducts, and they are inefficient. So we have choose here the photocatalysis to degrade the contaminants in the water to provide the solutions of contaminants in the water in the rural areas. Here is the experimental work which we have performed for the synthesis of MOS2 molybdenum disulfide by the hydrothermal method. We have performed different steps in our laboratory and to synthesize the final material. We have also synthesized TiO2 by the sol gel method, and the final product is here. These are the characterization
So,
techniques which
Bilal,
we have
sorry,
utilized.
you have 2 minutes, please.
Yes, characterization techniques which we have utilized to characterize our synthesized materials. And the first one, we have performed XRD analysis to confirm the formation of our nanomaterials. Next, we have performed UV visible analysis to check the band gap of the synthesized materials. We have also performed the characterization techniques like the FTIR analysis to check the bonding of the synthesized materials. Also perform the SEM analysis to check the surface of the synthesized materials. We have performed photocatalytic activity to degrade the pollutants to check the suitability of our nanomaterials for the wastewater contamination solution. And we can see that as the nanomaterials ratio, host material ratio has increased, the degradation efficiency has also increased. The results, the here we can say that result didn't matter. We can say we can check the impact of the nanomaterials, how these provide the solutions for the community level challenges. Here are the main things that we can say that bridging science and society. We can bridge the science and society by making material science accessible, training programs for the youth, women-centered sustainability initiatives, academia industry collaboration, public awareness and outreach, science communication platforms. There is a need of education and capacity building for the climate education for the students, material science, training workshops, technical skills for the local technicians. Also, the university play their role in university community learning partnerships, professional development for the educators, certificate programs for the green jobs. The government should provide the policy like to introduce the initiative for the green materials, promote public private partnerships, support local manufacturing capacity, reduce dependence on impacts by strengthening the domestic production for the advanced materials and clean tech components, develop a waste to materials sector, and also establish a national standard for the nano enabled technologies. University can also play their roles like in, we can say that, innovative incubators, community labs, cross university climate resilience network, leading climate innovation for Pakistan, especially capacity building and trainings, advanced based policy support, evidence based policy support. Future perspectives, if we can synthesize AI design materials, multifunctional nanosystems, scalable synthesis methods, and the circular economic integration. And the last one is the utilization of the green hydrogen ecosystems. In conclusion, we can say that nanostructured sustainable material provide high performance, low cost solutions for the climate resilience and energy, water, and environmental solutions. So there is a need of strengthen education, capacity building, and industrial academia collaboration is essential to scale technologies from laboratories to the real world application. Future directions, including the AI design materials and the green hydrogen system, highlight a transformative opportunity to build a resilient, low carbon, and sustainable future. Thank you. This is all from my side.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mohammed Bilal, for this interesting presentation. I'm handing over now the session to Michelle for moderating the Q&A session.
Thank you so much. And this was such an interesting session. And I know we have so many questions. Just looking briefly, I think we're almost at 200 comments, which include quite a few questions. We're going to start with Dr. Dina Mustafa. And one question that comes up is from George Florin, and he asks, what biological mechanisms can be integrated into buildings to ensure cooling remains effective during extreme humidity or multi-week heat waves? And if we can keep your answers to maybe 1 minute or less, that would be great for everyone.
Hello, Michelle. I'll be answering the question. Maybe I answered it already in the chat, but I'll brief it up for him again. I mentioned that we can put it up in only 3 main factors to enable, just let me get back to the question. Sorry again, if you can let me update me again with the question, please, or you can write it on the chat.
Yes, just what biological mechanisms can be integrated into buildings to ensure cooling remains effective during extreme humidity or multi-week heat waves?
Yes, we can apply, as I mentioned, we have few strategies that we can apply. First one, the evaporative cooling, as an example of the skin and the plants. Secondly, we have the self-shading and adaptive skin, similar to desert plants, and it can be also deploy kinetic facades that adjust shading. Thirdly, we have the heat storage and phase changing, similar to the camel physiology. Number 4, we have the ventilation inspired by termite mounds, which was explained into my presentation, getting in the hot weather to the outside of the building and keeping all the building from inside cool. And the last example, we have the radiative cooling as the nocturnal heat release, where we can use the roof materials designed for high infrared emissions to dump accumulated heat after sunset.
Thank you so much. And thank you for mentioning that you responded in the chat. And I had put a comment in the messaging as well that if everyone had addressed the speakers directly, then hopefully each of the speakers can go back and look for those, as we can't always get to all of the questions. So thank you. And I also want to just give a huge shout out to Hajra and Jane and Isabella today from our team, because they have worked so hard in putting this, all the organization and paperwork together and organizing the Q&A session behind the scenes. So thank you so much. And our next question will go to Dr. Fauzia. And we have a question from Dr. Indira Bunik. And as we know, Dr. Indira, yes.
Dr. Fawzi, she is having an emergency, so she left just to save time.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And so we will go down to Dr. Rania. Thank you so much. And we have a question, which bio-based material or living systems are closest to being scalable for mainstream use?
Can you repeat, please, the question, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Which bio-based materials or living systems are closest to being scalable in mainstream use?
Thank you so much, Dr. Michel, for your question, affirmative question. In Tunisia, because we have the climate in Tunisia, it's so particularly because the precipitation, it's we have increased precipitation and low drought in Tunisia. The methods, this restoration and valorization, the native and local species in Tunisia. Now, the choice of species, the choice of the reduce hydraulic and water resources in Tunisia by using ecological and organic product in Tunisia, and restore forest and rehabilitation by agroecology practice system in Tunisia.
Thank you so much. And I want to make note of the QR code that Dr. Wissam had put up on the screen. I know many of you are taking the Global Fellowship, Professional Fellowship, and this gives you access to take the quiz for today and get the certificate for today, but also be, once you get all 12 certificates, then you will get the final certification for the Global Sustainable Global Professional Fellowship. So please click on the QR code, and also it provides information if you are able to speak at an upcoming event, as well as making a suggestion for others. And I know we're just about out of time, so I just have one more question that I think that we can handle today. But and this question is for Dr. Amira, and Faisal asks, how can nature-based solutions and biometric cooling strategies be strategically deployed in dense urban canyons to reverse the urban heat island effect, while also improving thermal comfort, air quality, and energy efficiency? And I know that's a hard one to answer in a minute, but if you can do your best, that would be great.
Okay, let me sum it up. We're offering here to shift our thinking more from that furniture is now linear process or as a product, where it's not about selling furniture, it's not about products, it's about biological managing solutions. So if we turn and shift our solutions, our design solutions, basically from this idea, from this linear way of thinking of furniture to more like circular one, that product as service. Now, furniture is now like a service. We provide resilient entrepreneurship. Maybe local investors can help to find this one of our solutions today. Maybe find it insightful and help manage and make it like a prototype and test it to see how resilient can it be, and how can it offer this this perfect solution for the situation we are asking, while maintaining any environmental outcome, any environmental circumstances. We have first to study these environmental circumstances to provide the best solutions for it. That's why sustainability, as I said, it's not proven until it's tested, until we experience it. We have to experience the place and experience sustainability to find the best solution for the place, and we provide it. And maybe it can be prototyped and basically found on nature, on the real basis, and find success. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amira. And I know that there are so many more questions out there, so I encourage our speakers to answer those questions when you get a chance. And thank you so much for our audience for going through and asking so many questions, telling us where you're from, joining us today. And please, when you get a chance, also share the recording of this, share the future programs that are coming up, because we want as many people to take advantage of these webinars as possible. And each and every one are now averaging 2,000 attendees. So we hope to get that up to 2,500 and 3,000. And as you see, this is such a global audience. And so it's this one space that we can all come together and learn from our global leaders. So thank you for our speakers today, and thank you for our team to help put everything together. And thank you for our audience. And I will pass it back to you, Dr. Wissam.
Thank you so much, Michelle and the team, for for the introduction, for moderating the session, and for co-organizing this event. Where, as I mentioned, it's always being organized jointly by the Global Ambassadors of Sustainability, the Global Green Chamber of Commerce, and the Environmental Awareness Initiative at the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So thank you so much for all the speakers, for all the interesting ideas. And like this is really interesting, because it is like the earlier plan of the fellowship program is to introduce new ideas and to kind of share knowledge from academia, from the industry people, for the audience to learn new things. And we are happy and for their very interesting interaction and engagement. And definitely we'll have prominent guest speakers who will share more interesting ideas. So thank you so much and have a good time, everyone. Bye bye. See you next week.